Hi, Simone Abelson here
Donna Glasser.
and we're here to give you your volunteer training on kindness and how the caseworker of our kindness initiative and our volunteers will work together along with our angel and our ambassador directors to create a easy flow for our members.
We're really, really appreciative that you've offered to volunteer for this amazing organization that has done so much work to help so many members in our community. And you are very special individuals. And thank you so much for offering your time to help us.
None of this work could be done without you, as you've seen this slide numerous times at this point. But just a reminder, what we are here to do, we're here to assist people, Jews in need in our San Diego community. And together, our angels, ambassadors, administrative and assignment volunteers will work together to make this happen, along with the incredible Donna and her team of caseworkers.
And we just wanted to make sure that we describe to you step by step exactly what needs to take place in order for you to feel that you are helping our members in the best possible way that you can, and that we've answered every single question that will help you to ease this process, because there are things to do, and we can definitely help you with that by giving you the information.
And that's what we're here to do today. So one of the first things we want to talk about is code of ethics. We want to treat people the way that we would want to be treated. Our members are in a very crucial time in their lives, but they are still humans. We still want to treat them with dignity, courtesy, and consideration.
And we also want to make sure that as you see, as we pair you up with the most incredible members in our organization, that you are instantly going to feel connected to them. And you may even feel as the process goes along that you feel like you're part of a family, and that you're going to want to help them in every which way that you can, like you would a family member. And it's just very important to make sure that you maintain client confidentiality and a non-judgmental attitude. That's the next point on this slide. And it's just very important because, as you know, a lot of our members are part of this community. And if by mistake you start explaining to others what you're doing, and just out of the goodness out of your heart, just sharing about a specific member, what is going on, that you have to just be very mindful of how you describe your work, because it's very easy for other people to identify your members. And obviously that's the most important thing for us to do, is to maintain confidentiality and their dignity.
And that being said, you can share that you're working with the Kindness Initiative, and you can
Absolutely.
share that I've helped a family with their housing, and I've helped a family get meals, and I've helped a family get their doctor's appointments. But please don't share your family stories, because it's those
Absolutely.
stories that'll help identify them.
Yes.
Also, live up to your word. If you tell your member, or if you're not an angel, but you're an ambassador or you're an administrative volunteer, live up to your word. If you say you're going to do something, please do it. Be professional with us, even though you are a volunteer, and please do it, because like we've said before, we can't get this work done without your help.
Yeah. And the most important thing to always remember is that we're doing this together as a team. And there are going to be many times that I may even give you a treatment plan and a list of resources, and you take a look at it and you say, you know what, maybe we could offer this, and maybe we could help with this, or maybe I don't have the answer, or maybe you don't have the answer of how to help our members, and we will work on this together. And that's one of the strengths of our organization.
But one of the things to remember is, if you do have suggestions, all recommendations must come from our caseworker. We are all very opinionated people, and we are all people who want to help. But because we're going to be helping with the Kindness Initiative name, recommendations for liability issues need to come from the caseworker. So even though you'll be the one presenting them, it'll be coming from Kindness Initiative, not from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very important to remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
Communication. Like we just said, you are acting on behalf of the Kindness Initiative. So documentation is extremely, extremely important. We use Slack and Dropbox as our main communication. It's more the back end that uses the Dropbox. You will most likely more be using Slack. And in your training with Steve, in that video, you learned all about Slack, but we want to speak a little bit about the importance of updating Slack.
And that is crucial, because you're going to find that you that during your phone calls, or even your meetings in person with your members, that there are things that are going to come up, and it's very important for you to document that on Slack, so that if anything comes up in the future, we can go back and see when you recommended something or when you followed up with something. Because if it hasn't been done, then we have no idea that you actually worked with the member and that you're helping them achieve a certain goal. So it is really crucial for Slack to be updated. We would suggest every day, because it's possible for you to forget. But even if it's once a week or twice a week, that would be awesome, just so that we can see that something's been documented.
Every time there's communication or work
Yes.
you're doing for your member. Like, I'll use an example of working with our partner Gemach to get a wheelchair for your member. If you called Gemach to see if they have a wheelchair available, documented in Slack. I called Gemach on February 24th and they have a wheelchair, or they do not have a wheelchair, and I'm going to keep looking. If they have that wheelchair, then your next documentation would be, I've arranged for a wheelchair pickup on this date at this time. And then once it's been picked up, update that on Slack. And then 3-4 days after it's been picked up, I've spoken to my member and they're enjoying their wheelchair. That way we know the whole process. And while you're doing this, I know you just learned this on Steve, but through Slack, there's a way to keep in each channel what they call a thread. So you want to make sure that you're replying on that thread. So the first line of that thread would be, I called Gemach on this date to see if there's a wheelchair. And then when I went to go update it, I would continue it on the same thread.
Absolutely. And it's also important that if you're still looking for a wheelchair, or you're looking for somebody to help attach something to, we had this with a particular situation with one of our members, that they needed a grab bar attached to the wall of their shower. And we've looked into different organizations to help us with that. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on where your member lives in the area. So you may need to update it or ask for another request of, do we have somebody else that may be able to do something like this, attaching a grab bar? So then we start looking into different organizations. So everything needs to be documented on Slack. And if there is a particular person that you want to ask that question, you do the @ and my name, or @ and Simone's name, and that will alert us that you've put something in that Slack.
And on that note, we also want to talk, it's going to be coming up about boundaries, but the last line on this slide is called emergency after hours. We are all, well, you are all volunteers and we are all here to help, but every single one of us has to have our boundaries so we don't overwork ourselves.
Mhm.
So that being said, if you've decided that you are not going to be helping your member, or you're not going to be working with kindness after a certain time of night, feel free, if your member or somebody reaches out to you, to say, if this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911 if it's that kind of emergency. But if it is an emergency for kindness to help with, please go ahead and call the kindness phone number at 858-216-1666. And then send Simone a Slack. Go ahead and send me a Slack and say my member had an emergency, or our partner's having an emergency, or you're going to be getting a phone call any minute, just so I know to keep an eye out for the phone call. But all of those go directly to my cell phone. And if I can't help at that time, I will know who to direct it to.
And on that note as well, you are extremely valuable to us and our members. So it is really crucial that at the beginning, when we make the introduction of you to our member, that the first initial time that you meet the member, it's really good to say, I'm always available, or usually available during this time of the day, on these days of the week. It's okay for you to set boundaries and do that, because the last thing we want you to do is to feel absolutely exhausted and drained from working with the members. So it's very important for you to take care of your own needs.
And on that note, went to the next slide, which is working with members, which Donna can speak to us the most about, but just remembering these members are in crisis, and some of them, we need to set the boundaries. And again, we have another boundary slide coming up, but it's just important to set the boundaries. A lot of them will be emergency, emergency, stress, stress, stress. And we must always remember they did not get into their position overnight. We're
Absolutely.
not going to be able to get them out of their position overnight, but we're here to help them climb the stairs to get out of it.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to remember that the process of how this works as well. Sim, I think it's a good time to bring this up now. So what happens is members apply online on our website, and then Simone will contact myself or their two other case managers, and we will do an intake. And then once I'm going to talk for myself now. I do the intake, then I do the treatment plan, and then I set up the entire resource list. Then once I take that intake and the treatment plan and the volunteer angel has been assigned to a member, I will share that intake and the treatment plan and the resources with our volunteer angel. And what I'm really suggesting is that once I've shared that with the angel, I would love it if you would reach out to me once you've read it and clarify any things that you see on there that you need clarity with, so that you really understand what we're trying to achieve, what goals we achieve, and what path we are on with the members, so that you can help them to the best of your ability. And if you are unclear on anything, it's going to be really difficult and frustrating for you to achieve those goals. So I'm really asking that you're able to do that.
And at that point, once you have been given the recommendations and the resources, you are now going to be reaching out to the member, and you will be that member's key person inside of kindness. At that point, Donna will have shared with the member, I am here to do your intake, and I will come up with the recommendations and give the list of resources to your angel, and your angel will be holding your hand through the process.
Absolutely.
So that member should know that if there's any issues or conflicts along the way, they will be calling the angel and not Donna to
Yes.
help with it. And if you have questions, we are here 100% to support you. Donna will be here to support you. We do ask before you go to Donna with questions, you double check with myself and Bev Kamensky, who's the angel coordinator, angel manager, because there are going to be some questions that possibly we can answer. And Donna is going to be extremely busy, sadly, doing more and more and more intakes.
Yeah. And I think it's very important that once you start working with our members, there are different aspects that they are dealing with. Some people are dealing with behavioral health issues. Some people are mainly just, dealing with financial issues. Some people are dealing with health issues. There's just an array of issues. And I think it's really important that once I do the treatment plan, that we contract out for the appropriate psychiatrists and psychologists and behavioral therapists. And, we contract out for a lot of help. And it's very important for you to remember that you must not take on that role as the therapist, which is very easy to fall into that role, and that it's really important for you to guide our members in the process of utilizing all the options that we've given them. And I would like to stress again to be mindful of giving advice, because sometimes out of the goodness of your heart, you want to give advice to help. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't have the background of knowing the past history of our members, and there's a lot of things that pop up along the way, and then it can really cause an issue by giving advice when you're not familiar with, you haven't had that longevity of working with the member. So,
and we also want to stress, we're here to set our members up for success.
Exactly.
We're not here to be a checkbook, because if we just continue writing checks for them, that's not going to help them build the foundation that they'll need to be able to be self-sufficient. And our overall plan for all of our members, whether it's through our partners and through resources throughout the community, is to set them up to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely. And that's why most of the time we're trying to get them out of the position that they're in by hooking them up with the resources to help them. Because as you know, at a time of stress and crisis, you kind of feel frozen and it's really hard to do these things on your own. So it's really nice for somebody to help you along this process, to hold your hand, to guide you through it, to help you with those phone calls, to help you to make those connections, to help get you out of this terrible situation into a really good place.
Confidentiality. I know we've said it before and we're going to say it again. Please remember, we're dealing with members from our Jewish community. And for all we know, they could be our cousins or our best friends, next door neighbor, or in their chavruta. And we just want to make sure we do not share their identities.
Yeah. Because a lot of the times they're going to say, can I become your friend on Facebook? Can I become your friend on Instagram? And then next minute it's like, oh, you know my family member, I spoke to this member and they know you. And it just gets into this whole thing. So it's, I understand if we just want to help and we just want to, but it's very important to keep those boundaries.
And Donna did just mention Facebook and Instagram. We suggest you do not friend them on social medias. Unless you choose to have a relationship with them outside of Kindness Initiative. But we do highly, highly suggest keep it professional and keep it business.
Yeah. And there's one more thing I actually did want to bring up. So a lot of the times we get calls from our volunteer angels, because you all have the biggest hearts, to say, oh, my member's really having a difficult time and their budget is really small and they've got so many expenses, and how can I help? Can I buy gifts? Can I buy food? Can I buy this? Can I buy that? And I think it's when you are in that situation, if you could please come back to us and discuss it with us before going along and just buying them stuff and giving them, because there are ways how we can work this through donations. So if you could please discuss it with us in the future, because I'm sure it will be coming up.
And on that note, no pressure to ever write a check for your member or any member. Feel free to always tell them, if they keep bothering you for checks, we've asked them not to do that. Mm-hmm. But if they do, and it's happened to me, members who have called, been like, well, can't you just give me $20?
Yeah.
And an easy answer to that is, I've given my donations to the Kindness Initiative so they can help all members.
Exactly. And there's ways, yeah. And I think and we also will make you familiar with all the things that Kindness Initiative are offering, which are grocery gift cards and a whole bunch of stuff. So I think the more that you're familiar of what we can offer, that will really help you.
And that takes us back to, we're not a checkbook.
Yes.
We're really helping them build the foundation.
Yes.
This is an extremely important one. Advice versus guidance. We are here to guide our member, not necessarily tell our member what to do.
So one of our situations is we paired up an incredible volunteer angel with one of our new members. And during the intake, she did not share with us a lot of her past history when it came to asking advice from our volunteer angel. Should she change her job? And should she change houses? A thing that we want to jump in immediately and solve and fix the situation. And that's not necessarily the best thing. It's really good to take our time to investigate and look into the past history and see, to make sure that we are setting up our members for success as opposed to failures. And we want to just make sure that we give them all the tools that they need and deal with all the different things that they need to be successful, instead of just saying, yes, go ahead and change that job and go, that should be great for you, that new job, because we don't know what happened in the past. And we just need to, instead of just jumping impulsively, we really need to assess the situation and take our time.
And guiding the member to make their own decisions. So that way, if they did choose to take the job and it didn't work out, they cannot be pointing a finger at us.
Yes. Yeah. And also it's important to know that we look at, as we mentioned before, we look at every aspect. And there are times when some of our members need job training skills or new skills to learn for a new profession, or they simply need a computer so that they can do their work online. And so there are so many different options that we can look into to help our members acquire those skills and do those things. So it's always important to come back to us and say, look, my member really needs help with this, and that. Can you please help me? And we'll look into it. we'll definitely try and set you up with everything.
This next slide is an extremely important one. We've mentioned it a few times. We're definitely mentioning it again for a reason. Boundaries. We want you to work with us forever, years and years and years. We don't want you to get burnt out. And that, because of that, only you know the boundaries that must be set so you can continue with longevity with us. And that being said, we need to know the boundaries. So whether you're an angel and you need to set the boundaries with your member, or you're an ambassador and you need to set the boundaries not only with the partner that you're representing, but with the angels, so that the angels know when they can and cannot reach out to you as a resource. Or if you're an administrative person and you only have for a few hours a week to help, or an hour a week to help, these are things that we must know so that we don't take advantage of your kindness and your generosity. That being said, mutual respect, mutual expectations, being an active listener, always giving an honest and truthful answer and message. Let us know. We're here to work as a team.
And it's also very important that there are times that we pair up volunteer angels with members, and sometimes it's not a good shidduch. So I think it's really good, if it's not a good match between the two of you, please be open and honest with us and come back and say, you know, we're having a really tough time with communication and bonding, and I really want to be able to help somebody in the best possible way I can. And then we will take a look at it and possibly pair you up with somebody else if it is an issue. So we just wanted to put that out there so that if it does come up, just to please communicate with us at all times.
Another boundary might be, if you're working with a member, you might not want them to have your cell phone number. You may only want them to have your email, and you want to be the one who phones them. That being said, I think is it star 69, no, star 67.
Yes.
That makes your phone number private. So then you can email with them and you can call them and you can say, if you ever need me, shoot me an email and I will respond back to you within X amount of hours.
Absolutely.
But it's just setting those expectations.
Yeah.
And don't let them trick you into giving you giving them your phone number if you don't want it.
I feel pressured. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very important.
And handling complaints, sometimes being customer service and just smiling, whether it's with our members or if you are, again, an ambassador working with an angel, you have to remember the angel's being bombarded by their member and they're getting the stress and the urgency. And if that ends up being relayed to you, customer service, smile and a nod, and we'll just handle this. Thank you for letting us know.
And it's always important to know that we are always there for you. You can always contact Simone and I and discuss any issues that are coming up, because that's the best way that everything is going to work, is if there's open communication, and we're here for you at all times.
And Bev, we have our whole protocol, who to call and when.
And Bev, our volunteer coordinator, she is phenomenal.
We need our boundaries also, so our Donna doesn't go running.
So it's very important. We have an incredible team to help with everyone, and we're just very appreciative. We could never do this on our own.
And that takes us to this slide, being knowledgeable of about what KI is offering, and also about our resources. Donna spends hours and hours and hours updating our resources weekly.
Yes.
And just get yourself familiarized with them. In Slack, there's a channel called resources. And if for some reason you don't see it, let me know and I'll make sure it's sent right to you.
And it's also important that when I do share that resource list with you initially, that when we first meet and I send you that list, I would really love you to go over that list and see, to make sure that you fully understand about what is mentioned there, who to call, how to utilize this list. Because if you have any questions, please to come back to me and I can clarify that for you, because it's really important that we utilize everybody on that list, because we have phenomenal people in San Diego to help.
And we're all here to work together. Like we've said, we're a team, and this cannot be one person working on their own, ever. And that being said, if you don't know something, it's okay to say, I don't know, and I will find out, because by lying to the member or the partner or the other volunteer that we're working with and saying, oh, it might be, and making something up, you could be creating a lot more mess than there needs to be.
Absolutely. And in fact, we actually have a thing that's come up right now. They have just issued through San Diego that the San Diego Housing Commission has just put up on March 2nd, most of our members will be applying for the rental assistance program. So we will be assisting them with that. And there are going to be many questions with that because it's people are not familiar with how to apply for that. But we can help you with that because there's the number on the bottom of who to call and how to do it and how. So there's just, we will work through this together. It's all a learning process for everybody. We're all going through this. So we're in this together.
Go team kindness.
Yeah.
We have to remember this slide is extremely important. Our members' needs, we want to make sure that our members' needs are being met, that we are truly helping them and guiding them in the right direction to create that foundation to stand on their own 2 feet. And that being said, we have 2 ways of keeping track of that. One is the service provider form. If you are an angel and after your member has worked with a partner, make sure we send them this form so we can hear if the member or if the partner, sorry, took good care of them and is actually keeping up to their word of what the partners have told us they're going to do.
Yeah.
We're still all a work in progress. We
Yeah.
have a few, we're still working on having more partnership agreement forms, and these partnership agreement forms need to be kept. And so it's just keeping track of that. And then your way of communicating with us again is through Slack. Bev Pomensky, one of her positions or one of her jobs is to check every member's Slack channel and make sure it's been updated. So this is your way of communicating with us. And if she sees a red flag in there, she will be calling you for more detail or reaching out to Donna and I and saying, there seems to be this emergency need. Please make sure you're looking into it. Have you heard about it?
Absolutely. Yeah, Slack is the most unbelievable program. We are just loving it. Thank God for it. It's great.
Update.
Yeah. If we all utilize it properly, it works fantastically well. Yeah.
And that being said, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your help. Thank you for being here for us and our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam.